Today I'm going to show you how to take an animated GIF that you might find on Facebook, how to record it and turn it into a movie and then turn that into a GIF. Let's get started. Welcome back. This is Fuzzee Tutorials and I'm Fuzzee D. Okay, so what we're going to do here today is I'm going to show you how to take an animated GIF from, say, Facebook. You want to be able to have this animated GIF for yourself on your own computer to use for your own purposes. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should take copyrighted material. A lot of this stuff is available as copyright free. I don't know particularly about this exact one, if it's copyright free or not. This is just one I happen to use as a post on my personal channel. And it was actually a good friend of mine who inspired me to make this tutorial because he was trying to get a copy of it and wasn't sure how to go about it. If you want just a still shot of it, you can just do a normal screenshot. And to do that on Windows, you would hold down your Shift Windows key and then tap the S. And then that dims down your screen. And then you can select just the actual GIF itself. And sometimes it'll pop it up over here in your clipboard. But if it doesn't do that, you can actually go over down here, open up your notification panel, and it'll be up at the top. And you just click it, and it opens this up in your clipboard viewer, and then you can just click on the save button and then give it a location to save and save it. Well, I'm not going to bother. But if you want to actually get the GIF and you can't get it off the website itself, it's easy enough to do. If you want to get it possibly a little bit larger, you could click on this right down here, and then this would take you to this page, but it's actually a little bit smaller. So you can use this, or you can just use it direct on Facebook if you actually go to the post. And then we're going to use OBS to actually capture it. Now I can show you some of the steps, but I can't take you all the way through because I'm currently using OBS to record this tutorial. The first thing is you need to get OBS if you don't already have it, and this is OBS Studio. This is not Streamlabs OBS. Streamlabs OBS is a fork of the original OBS Studio, and they made substantial changes, and I really recommend you stay away from them. Those guys have monetized just about all aspects of it, and they're kind of notorious for stealing stuff from other creators and then incorporating into their Streamlabs version. So, but this one is completely free, and the website address up here you'll see in the box is obsproject.com, and then you would, if you've got Windows, you would pick that one, pick whichever one works for you. Download it and install it. I'm assuming you are able to do that you know how. And the next thing you're going to need is a program that will let you take a video file and convert it to an animated GIF or GIF, depending on where you live in the world. So I'll provide a link for this down in the description. There's no point in really trying to show you this one because it's really, really long. But I did a little research, tried a couple different programs. The original one I was going to use actually doesn't support doing video files. So I actually told somebody to use that, so that was bad advice. If you're watching this, sorry about that. And I tried the mini tool movie maker, and you couldn't resize the project to make it match the actual animated GIF. So if you have something that's not actually 16 by 9, then that would be a problem. So what I settled on was the one off of the Microsoft Store. Like I said, I'll put a link down in the description. It'll be a shortened link through Bitly. Keep an eye out for that. Download this and it's pretty easy to use. What you would do is you would start up your OBS. And let me just bring in my OBS here. Okay, so what you would do is create a new scene, and we're just going to call this temp. Sorry, as soon as I created that, it switched over to it and kind of cut off what I'm trying to show you. So basically you're going to create this, just a temporary one for this, and then over here in sources you would add a source. So I'll just go ahead and add it to this scene we're working in. And I can go down here and go window capture. And then I can call this temp. And we can go OK. And then we'll just pop down this list. And we're going to go Firefox. So now you can see it's playing in there. So we can take this source and then you can expand it to get a nice size in there to record with. I'm just going to cover up my face here for a moment. So then you would go ahead and click on Start Recording. And just make sure you let it go through its loop and repeat a couple of times, because we're going to cut it down later in DaVinci Resolve. So once you've got enough recorded that you've got what you need, then we can then you can stop your recording and carry on from there. So I'm just going to remove this source now, so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so once you've got that recorded, I'll get this off the screen here. Normally when you've set up OBS, if you're kind of leaving it on default, it's going to create a file with the date and time with a .mkv extension on it. So then we're going to want to use DaVinci Resolve, but just before I go do that, I will show you where to get it in case you don't have it. Now they do have a free version. I use the paid version, but there's very little difference between the paid and the free. The free will do pretty much anything you need to do. It's just, it doesn't have some of the more advanced things. If you go to blackmagicdesign.com, then you can go to products and DaVinci Resolve and Fusion software over here. And then you would go to DaVinci Resolve free. And we just scroll down and you would do the free download now. Now I'll show you the screen. So here you can pick whether you've got Mac OS, Windows or Linux. So we'll pick the Windows. And now you do have to register before you can download it, but they don't bug you with a bunch of emails and stuff all the time. So, and they don't share information or anything like that. They're really good that way. Now obviously I've already got this installed, so I don't need to do this, but just so you know what to expect. So we'll go ahead and fire up DaVinci Resolve. So here we are in DaVinci Resolve. Being we're just dealing with one file, I'm just going to go right to the Edit tab. And then we're going to just drag the file in. So that's the MKV file. So you would drag that in. Now we're going to drag that down to our timeline. And I record multiple audio tracks, so that's why there's a couple of them here. So we're just going to get rid of those because we don't need them. I'm just holding my Alt key down. And if you're on a Mac, it'll be your Option key. So I hold my Alt key down while I click it. And that lets me select it separately. And then I can delete it. Okay, so now we're going to find a good spot to start with. So I'm going to start with where it's at the top, just before he starts nodding back down. I'm looking at the one on the right mostly. I'm just going to pick the uppermost. That should be pretty close right there. So we're going to cut it there. So that's just Control B on the keyboard. And even though I used to use this on macOS all the time, I honestly don't remember the keyboard combination. It's probably Command B. And then on a Windows keyboard, we're going to hit the delete key to ripple delete. If you're on a Mac, then you would hold the function key down and hit your backspace key, which gives you your ripple delete. Unless you've got a third-party full keyboard, and then you'll have a delete, an actual delete key. Okay, so right now we're not worrying about the size or of the timeline or like the actual resolution or anything like that. We'll worry about that once we get it cut properly. So now we're going to play forward here until he gets back up to the top. Okay, so we're just going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard, back it up one at a time until it looks like we're in the right spot. And then we'll cut it again. And then we'll get rid of that last bit. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to press the loop button here. And we're just going to back it up to the beginning. And we'll play it. And we'll see what it looks like as it loops. It looks pretty smooth. It looks like there's a tiny pause. So let's go back to the beginning here a little bit. I'm just going to zoom in on the timeline, so I'm just going to hit Shift Z on the keyboard. We'll just try those right there. Let's cut that off. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, that looks nice and smooth there. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is set the actual resolution of our timeline. So we're going to go up to timeline, up over here in the media pool, and we're going to right click timelines and then timeline settings. And I'm going to turn off this checkbox for use project settings. And we're going to go up to the top, pick custom. And we're going to take this first number and we're going to change it to 1600. Now I just did a little experimenting. I just tried a few different ones until I got the right one. So we'll go OK. So you can see it's squared it off and created some black bars at the top and the bottom. So now we're going to click on the video down here and we're going to go up to zoom. And we're just going to zoom that in. And now the reason that I've got this stuff at the top and the bottom is because I recorded it off the site rather than off Facebook. So you won't have those. And you won't have to zoom it in quite so much. So your quality is probably going to be a little better. But I'm just going to zoom this in and then we got to reposition it a bit. get it centered as we can. Adjust the Y position. Okay. So we're just gonna keep tweaking and tuning until we get it perfectly centered. And if we cut a tiny bit off around the edges, that's fine. Okay, so let's view that again and make sure it all looks good. Okay, I think we're good. So now we can go to the Deliver tab. And we're going to pick a file name. As well as a spot to put it. Now, of course, I've already done this step. It's going to ask me if I want to replace it. I'll go yes. Although we're not actually going to render it because I've already rendered it. And down here we can hit Shift Z just to zoom in our timeline a bit if you feel the need to. So we're going to go over here to our format and we're going to pick MP4. Now you could use a different format. This is just you know, it's going to be translated into a GIF, so it's not going to be that great a quality anyway. So H.264 is a good file size to start with. And you'll see that it's already got 1600 by 1080 for our resolution. And then you would click your Add to Render Queue. And then we would just render all. Okay, so now we've got our MP4 file. So if you want to just confirm that it's working, you can double click it. And then you can see our media player, or actually I use 5K player, but that played just fine. So now we're going to go and we're going to select our video to GIF maker. And then we go select video and we pick our MP4 and we open. And now it'll just play it to make sure it's okay. Now looking at this, I got a little confused at first. I thought, oh boy, there's no way for me to change the resolution to match what I did it in. But if you just leave it like this and go to the next step, it'll automatically adjust it when it creates it. So not to worry, you can just leave it like that. Don't try and use this because then that's cutting off the top and the bottom. And then we just go down here and we click on next. And now you can see that it's resized it. And then you just click on create GIF. And now it puts it in a kind of a deep location inside of GIF Maker. I haven't found a way to change where it puts it. But that's okay. You can just hit OK. And then as they're going to get you to try and rate the program. It's free, so they're wanting you to provide some free advertising for them. But you can do that if you like, but I just close it. Now if we go to output and click on that, then that takes us to where the file actually is, and then you can drag it to where you want it. So in case you're wondering why my file manager looks a little different than yours, it's because I've installed a third-party app called Files. You can actually get it off the Microsoft Store if you do a search for Files. And it's just a fancier file manager. You can do some really nice functions in here. It's got tabs, which will let you go back and forth. And then you can actually add side-by-side tabs. So I could go up here, click on the little 3 dots, add a new pane, and then I get 2 panes side by side. So I can move files around without having to have separate Windows open. But since I've already got it here where I needed it, that's fine. And it's got some other features as well. But we're not doing a tutorial on this right now. There we've got our animated GIF or GIF. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? So if you're new to DaVinci Resolve and you'd like to see a good beginner tutorial on this, gives you everything you need to know to start using DaVinci Resolve. It's designed specifically for rookies. So I'll put a link to that video on the end screen. So just watch to the end and that'll come up for you. And I'm going to have some other tutorials on using some of the fancier new features in Windows 10. That's going to be upcoming. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. And I also do lots of tutorials on graphics design and DaVinci Resolve. Make sure you turn that notification bell on so you don't miss when they're announced. If you liked what we did today, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.